Good evening, everyone. So we'll be starting within next 1 minute as a lot of people are still joining. So yeah, in 1 to 2 minutes, we'll be starting. I hope my screen is visible to you guys and my audio is clear. Rucha, can you confirm?
Yes, Rishit.
Yes, audio and video is absolutely fine.
Yeah, thanks, Rajan. Okay, so let's begin. Again, a very good evening to all of you and welcome to Stock Durbar with Marketsmith India. After this very volatile day today, so I don't know how many of you are on the screen during the day and how many of you are investors, but if you were on screen today like tracking the live market, the feeling was like you are in a virtual theme park. वो वाला feel आ रहा था आज. So morning, the opening was a very decent one in the positive side. उसके बाद 16,600 को क्रॉस किया and then what happened in next 90 minute, and then again there was roller coasters. Yes, Rasi Master is saying it was a roller coaster ride. Ajay, it's the voice is fine right now. Yes, so it was a roller coaster ride today, but the good part was that we closed in the upper quartile of the day's range. So that's something positive that you can take out of this day. So yes, this is what we always want, that to close in the upper quartile of the day's range. Deepak is having some political comment. Okay, so let's not go over there. Yes, so if you look at Nifty, so today the high was very close to the Monday's close. So Monday ko bhi the close was strong, right? And after that on Tuesday, sorry, yes. So after that there was a gap down, and after Tuesday, sorry, on Wednesday, and again today. So the level was high was somewhere around the Tuesday's close. And if you can see this line over here, then this is the 10 EMA, that is the 10 exponential moving average. So Nifty is not able to move above that 10 EMA line. So ideally 3 times. So partially, if you consider this, then on Tuesday, then again on Thursday, that's today. So Nifty found resistance around 10 EMA. And anyways, like this 600 to till 800, 850 zone. So there is a lot of resistance at this point of time also. So the first on the higher side to cross is the 10 EMA, and then second is this 850 to 900 zone. अगर ये दोनों cross करता है, then Nifty can move further. But according to O'Neill, what we are looking for is a follow through day, that is FTD. So what is follow through day? Follow through day is 1.5% gain on a Nifty on a volume higher than previous session. So दो condition है सिर्फ. पहली 1.5% gain, and second the volume should be higher than previous session. It's not about the average volume, but it should be higher than the previous session. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we move to a rally, confirmed uptrend. Currently, we are in a rally attempt, because here on Friday the low was made. So now a question might be in your mind ki Friday ka low, why we should consider, because ideally we look for a first positive day. So why we look for Friday is because the closing was in the upper half of the day's range. So the Friday was day 1, Monday day 2, and Tuesday day 3. And yes, so on Tuesday we were in a rally attempt status. So this is how we track the market, and we try to potentially spot the bottom. So day 1, 2, 3. Now we are looking for a follow through day, that is 1.5% gain on a higher volume than previous session. So yeah, this is about the technical setup of Nifty. Now, if we discuss some of the macro thing, the major problem, the inflation and the talks around that. So yesterday also, Jerome Powell commented that they will be, having the first priority is to control the inflation. The second thing, when he was asked about the recession and the soft landing, so he was not sure, he was not confident of the soft landing, hoga ya nahi hoga. He also indicated that there might be some economic slowdown because of these things. But yeah, everything is possible. But overall, what he commented, like they were trying their best to control the inflation, which is very, very high. Not only in US, UK का भी data आया था अभी last week कि that is also at a 40-year high. So almost everywhere in the West, in the Europe and the US, 40-50 साल के high पे inflation है. So that's the first point, that they will be trying to control the inflation at the first point. But the second thing which the Jerome Paul commented was that they will be, taking these things meeting by meeting. So that is also a secondary comment. So there is no clarity that how the things will go. But yes, these are the 3-4 comments that you need to keep in mind, that they will be looking meeting by meeting. The second thing, their priority is to control the inflation, and that's what he has committed to the US lawmakers, the Congress over there. And there can be a chance of a mild slowdown, maybe possibly, but let's see what happens. So in this scenario, when no one is clear, then it is never a good thing to predict the market. Predict करने से better है कि follow the market, जैसे कि हम rules follow कर रहे हैं. So what happened, यहाँ पे देखो strong move आया था, if you can see my annotation. Then again there was some consolidation. यहाँ पे फिर से एक strong move, यहाँ पे almost 1.92% का gain था. And there was a lot of discussion that why you guys are not going into a confirm uptrend even after such a good rally. But what we were concerned was the volume. गेन डे पे जब भी मार्केट ऊपर जा रहा था तो वॉल्यूम लो था, जब मार्केट नीचे जा रहा था तो वॉल्यूम हाई था. And that is the reason we avoided position. It is hard, it is not easy कि हाँ जब मार्केट भाग रहा हो, बहुत टाइम से आपकी कोई पोजीशन ना हो और आप you remain outside the market in cash. But that is what important is in these kind of market, that you need to be very careful about your capital preservation. And that's what happened. We were not in the market in this phase, and that's the reason we were protected in this phase, right? So now again, we will not be using our emotion कि हाँ ऐसा कमेंट है, रिसेशन आ सकता है, नहीं आ सकता, ग्रोथ नीचे जाएगा, इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ेगा, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स का क्या होगा, आरबीआई क्या करेगा, फेड क्या करेगा. You need to analyze all things. Okay, you need to have that everything when you are into the market. But again, the important point comes out is the technical. कि what is the technical strength that your market is showing? क्या यहाँ पे follow through day possible है? So because there are chances that after a follow through day there can be a rally. But हाँ एक चीज और आप नोट कर लो कि यूएस मार्केट में 4 follow through days have failed in the year 2022. I'm talking about the same year. ये साल में 4 follow through day fail हुए हैं. And if you talk about the European market, then almost on an average 3 follow through day fail हुए हैं in Europe, right? So this is what you need to keep in mind, that even if there is a follow through day, do not jump. आप पिरामिडिंग कर सकते हैं कि आपको कोई भी ब्रेकआउट अच्छा क्वालिटी स्टॉक जिसका फंडामेंटल अच्छा है, देन डू अ पिरामिड स्ट्रेटजी कि हाँ पहले थोड़ा पोजीशन लिया, उसके बाद जब अगर मार्केट और स्टॉक दोनों में स्ट्रेंथ था, देन यू ऐड मोर, एंड इफ द स्ट्रेंथ कंटिन्यूज यू ऐड मोर. और टाइमली प्रॉफिट बुक करना, like let's say for example 20% profit कहीं पे मिल रहा है, then start booking that profit according to own methodology. On the flip side, stop loss पूरा रख के काम करना है. 7 to 8% is the maximum loss that you should take in this kind of market or in any kind of market. But even if there are some levels before that कि 21 DMA 50 DMA उसके ऊपर है, राइट, मान लो 3-4% पे वो मूविंग एवरेजेस है और उसको हाई वॉल्यूम पे ब्रीच करता है, देन यू शुड एग्जिट अर्ली. सो दिस ideally should be your strategy when the market turns higher, when follow through day comes. And yes, as far as the stock selection is concerned and which stocks are doing great, so we are coming up with a report today. So I think it will be uploaded. So Rucha, can you share the link once it is uploaded? So it's under process. So maybe by this evening you might get the report, or maybe by the time we are concluding this session, the report might be ready, and we will share with you that report has a all the sectorial analysis कि कौन सा sector अभी अच्छा कर रहा है, किसका relative strength improve हो रहा है, and to tell you the findings in early. Yes, the banks as well as the autos that are doing well, FMCG hold kar raha hai, and we have a list of some 30-35 stock in that report that is holding well, जिनका relative strength और earning strength थोड़ा decent है और अभी major correction नहीं हुआ. So when I talk about major correction, that is off high से 15%, sorry 15% off high. So whenever कोई भी स्टॉक या इंडेक्स अपने हाई से 15% से ज्यादा नीचे गिर जाता है, एंड व्हेन इट ट्राइज टू मूव हायर, उसको एक ओवरहेड सप्लाई आता है जो कि ये 15% फॉल की वजह से. सो आइडियली यू शुड गो फॉर द स्टॉक दैट इज हैविंग फॉल ऑफ लेस देन 15%, तो उसमें ओवरहेड सप्लाई आने का चांसेस कम रहता है. सो यू विल गेट ऑल दैट डेटा ओवर देयर. ओके, नाउ लेट्स क्विकली मूव टू सम सेक्टर्स. So banks again very volatile, but the good part is it is holding around its previous lows. Like जैसे निफ्टी ने अभी नया लो बनाया, but not the बैंक निफ्टी. बैंक निफ्टी ने अपने जो मार्च वाले लो है उसको होल्ड किया है, वो उसके नीचे नहीं गया है. That is this 32,155, right? So that is something in the banks. Some of the banks are showing strength, especially the ICICI Bank थोड़ा strength दिखा रहा है. HDFC is also holding, right? And yes, one thing we are not giving a, so it's the disclaimer is always clear for this webinar, but then also again let me reiterate that we are not giving a advice to buy or sell. We are just sharing our observation. We are just sharing here the knowledge. So in next 5 minutes, the question Q&A forum will be open and you will be able to ask the questions on the chat box, and we will try to answer as many as possible. But that's also not an investment advice. So now if you look at the other sectors, FMCG, generally a defensive one, and yes, इसने somewhere around March का low बनाया, and it is very far from there, and वहां से ये थोड़ा hold कर रहा है. And now if you look, it is below its 50 and 200-day moving averages, but relatively it is better placed than the other indexes like metals. Graph Nifty Metal देखिए, so here the metal clearly indicates the fear of slowdown. कि ये last week ऐसा हुआ था कि market भी गिर रहा है, crude भी कम हो रहा है, gold भी कम हो रहा है. So there was this fear of slowdown that was going on. And अभी steel का price देखिए, mainly अगर metal index में the key are Tata Steel, JSW Steel, SAIL, ये सब. तो अगर आप steel का prices देखिए, so they are continuously moving lower. And that's the reason you can see from the high of 6825 somewhere in April, yes, now the index is around 4400. तो इतना steep fall आया index में, and all the stocks like Tata Steel है, JSW, सारे stocks में इतना sharp fall आया है. That is because they are not getting the price. जैसे कि aluminium का price कम हो गया, steel का price कम हो गया, इवन द प्रेशियस मेटल. ऐसा नहीं है कि मार्केट का डाउन ट्रेंड है, थोड़ा स्लो डाउन का फियर है, तो प्रेशियस मेटल्स भी अभी डाउन है. द गोल्ड इज समवेयर अराउंड 50K per 10 gram, right? So that's the reason the metals are under pressure. This auto index, yes, it is holding. So today's action is not captured over here, guys, but if you see, today was a very strong action. Maruti 5% बढ़ गया, Tata Steel was holding strong, Ashok Leyland, M&M is already at new high and it is one very resilient stock. Even ये गिरते बाजार में M&M is able to move higher and hold the gains. So the autos overall are doing quite well. So उनका जो मार्च वाला लो बना था वहां से वो काफी ऊपर है अभी अगर आप देखिए then. So it is forming some trend over here. So yeah, you will be able to see these kind of observations in our report. So there is some trend over here that is getting formed, and the auto index is trying to rebound from there with the leadership is doing well. जैसे कि if you look at the हाँ क्योंकि metals के बाद मैंने auto इसलिए लिया क्योंकि steel का price कम होता है then 60-70% of the materials used in the auto components are steel, maybe more than 70. So जब स्टील का प्राइसेस कम होगा मेटल्स के ओवरऑल प्राइसेस कम होंगे so these guys will get the cost benefit. तो उनका रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट बहुत बढ़े जा रहा था, दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम क्योंकि अभी भी इंडिया में अगर आप स्पेसिफिकली देखें तो ऑटो सेक्टर में कोई इतना ऐसा स्लो डाउन नहीं है, डिमांड इतना गिरा नहीं है. If you go to try to book a car, then look at the waiting period, it's way long in some of the very successful models. So ऐसा नहीं है कि टू व्हीलर्स फोर व्हीलर्स का डिमांड गिरा है and the expectation of normal monsoon and the rural economy picking up. So RBI governor ने भी last meeting में बोला था कि urban demand is already picking up, rural भी उसके पीछे pick up हो रहा है, and if the monsoon goes well then I think the demand for the two wheelers and the tractors they will also increase notably. So overall the sector is in sweet spot. Technically भी वो दिख रहा है कि it is trending higher. So last few weeks there was correction along with the market, but relatively resilient hai auto stocks. So I was discussing about the strong move in the Maruti. So see the leaders like Maruti, M&M, Tata Motors, TVS, अगर यही सब अच्छा move देगा then that is very positive. So like यहाँ पे एक long consolidation था, breakout within the base. See the pivot is still far, 8% है यहाँ पे breakout. But here also it was facing a very strong resistance somewhere in this zone, 8,000, 8,100 पे, और today volume से breakout दिया. Look at this volume bar and this is the price bar. So whenever such event happens, always look for the volume. So this is very positive. अगर यहाँ पे ये hold कर जाता है and if it doesn't reach back this 8,100 level or 8,000 level, then it might be possible that it will form the right side of the base. अगर ये बेस को लेफ्ट और राइट साइड में डिवाइड कर दो तो राइट साइड ऑफ द बेस बना सकता है एंड इट माइट गिव अ ब्रेकआउट एज वेल इफ द वॉल्यूम एज वेल एज द प्राइस एक्शन कंटिन्यूस. Okay, so now let's start with your questions. We are already done with 15-20 minutes, and so don't post question multiple times because then it becomes very difficult to scroll. So just paste it one time and we will try to answer as many as possible. So my colleague Rajshekar has also joined the webinar, so we both will turn by turn try to answer as many questions as possible. Yes.
Thanks, Rushit. Can I take a few minutes?
Sure. So Mayuresh has also joined the webinar. So over to you.
Yeah. So can you hear me first of all, guys? Loud and clear?
Yes. A little low, but maybe you can be.
Yeah. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as Rushit was mentioning, right, guys, when we are in the bad phase of the market that we are right now, cash is also a position. So the position that we are sitting on right now also becomes a position, right? So the capital conservation that Rushit spoke about, what we believe at O'Neill in terms of cutting your losses short, riding your winners, and maintaining your capital allocation. I think all those rules, and we are playing by rules, and playing by rules always helps in markets like these. Rushit also briefly mentioned about the report that we are expected to come out. We've already come out with that report. It will just be loaded onto the site in the app in the next few minutes. So Rucha can clarify that, but I think in the next hour or so it should get uploaded. So there has been a categorical dissection in terms of sectors on how sectors are placed both from an EPS and an RS perspective, and which stocks. We've put out a table of stocks with a clear disclaimer again. These are not buying or selling recommendations. These are purely based in terms of stocks holding out and coming out from the right side of the basis, which probably means that the technical setup in market conditions like these are looking very, very good. Now, if a follow through day comes, right, because last time also we waited for that and it did not come through and the markets collapsed. So it is essential for a follow through day to come. And again, when we are probably coming out of a bear market, to wait for a follow through day makes even more sense because then it will give you an absolute amount of clarity and confidence that a lot of supply and headwinds that the market is facing on a macro perspective, both global and local, in terms of expectations of downgrade, whether it's earnings, GDP, rate hikes. So anything that has to do with macro trickling down to micro, uh, company earnings and corporate profitability as well. I think all that probably should start getting gestated in. Because I mentioned corporate profitability, the corporate profitability for last year at 4.2% was one of the, as a percentage of GDP, was one of the best that you've probably seen in the last 8 to 9 years. I think balance sheets are strong and India is very strongly placed. So Anshu, I think now we are in a rally attempt, which basically means that what we saw on the Nifty, right, as an index, the levels that we saw on Friday of 15,183, those did not breach for 3 consecutive days. And therefore, we upgraded the market from a downtrend to a rally attempt. Now, since the market has been upgraded to a rally attempt, we are now waiting for a follow through day. So, what is a follow through day? Say tomorrow, just as an example, again, hypothetical guy, just as an example, if the Nifty makes a move, say, of 1.78% or 1.8%, with volumes which are more than yesterday, which is today. So, for tomorrow, yesterday's volumes will be today. So, if the volumes are higher than the volumes that we saw today, and Nifty makes a move of more than 1.5, 1.7%, that will be considered as a follow through day. And if that probably happens, there is a high chance and a high probability that the low that we probably witnessed on the Nifty of 15,183 should hold out. And the worst is probably over. We might come back. There is a high possibility on what we've probably seen. And Rushit did mention that US had 4 breaches in terms of follow through days that they saw. And in the past, also in the bear markets that we probably see in the global financial crisis of 2008, the IT crash of 2000, the 2018 crash as well. I mean, the bear market that we witnessed, you do see and we do witness that once FTD is witnessed, there is a high probability that there can be a retest in terms of the bottom that we might, that the market might come very, very close to that. But again, I think how it is getting created, is there heavy volumes? Is there heavy distribution built up that is probably happening? And whether there is a breach of uh, the averages or the market levels that we've seen, that needs to be monitored. So I think let's have a clarity in terms of the setup of the rules, and therefore I think having rules absolutely makes sense. With that, I think we'll start discussing stocks and sectors, and we'll take queries as they come along.
Thanks, Myresh, for explaining importance of rule-based investing. I'll take a few stocks now. HAL, I'll start with HAL. And then Elecon. Rishit, can you put up HAL chart? Not HAL, HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics. Okay, you can see the setup here, daily setup on the message website. The stock has given a very good breakout on March 31st, and you can see it has rallied from there. However, due to the weakness in the market, that is in the general market, it has retraced back towards its 50 DMA, which is this red line. And you can see again, the recently last couple of days back also, it has found good support at its 50 DMA. So stocks like these HAL and other fundamentally stocks, strong stocks will have good support at the 3 moving averages. That is the reason we always look for levels like 50 and 200 DMAs for fundamentally strong stocks. And even though the market is in a downtrend for the last 1 month nearly and unable to come to confirm the trend, this stock has been resilient compared to the general market. That is the reason its RS rating is also at higher at 84. There are many reasons, mostly for the company-driven growth drivers are like Make in India initiative by the government is pushing the stock higher. Major defense projects are expected to be delivered by Hindustan Aeronautics and compared to imports which we had done previously. Now, majorly our manufacturing is expected to be done by domestic companies. HCL is a major engineering company in that space. So yeah, it is expected to have few orders from the defense sector. So that is the reason stock has been showing good strength recently. And fundamentally, EPS is also at 90, indicating a fundamentally strong story for the company. It has been reporting a good set of numbers for the last quarters, couple of quarters, and both its EPS and sales have been increasing. Return on equity is also at 26, indicating a good fundamental story. And number of funds in the company have increased significantly, 16%. That indicates new institutional investors are taking positions in the company. So everything about the company is looking good, both on fundamental front and technical front. Only reason that is the general market is in rally attempt, as mentioned previously by Rishit and Mahesh. We are staying in cash. Staying in cash is also position according to our rules. So that is the reason we are not adding stocks to our model portfolio. But if the market gives a follow through in the next couple of sessions or in the next week, we might add stocks like these, which are leading the general market or which are showing resilient in the current market. And if you are holding this stock in your model in your portfolio, you can continue to hold it and you can keep 50 DMA as stop loss because it has given a good support in the last few times recently. So just keep it 5 to 10 points below its 50 DMA. If that level is breached, you can exit this stock. Otherwise, you can continue to hold it. Next, I'll take Elecon. I think the stock values are very similar. I think both the stocks are leading general market and have been resilient, very resilient, and they are showing good price strength in the recent couple of weeks. Elecon is also a very good story. Again, belonging to the engineering space, manufacturing space. You can see the long base pattern it has formed. That is stage 1 consolidation base. It broke out of it very recently, and it also hit a power to pivot. That is very, what you can say, very rare in markets like this. When the market is moving sideways or very downways, this stock has the power to pivot. That is very rare. But this is a very not so. It's a very small market cap company, nearly 3,000 crore market cap company. The fundamentals are very good. EPS is at 97, again indicating good improvement in its sales and sales and EPS growth. There is one follow-up question on Elecon from Rishit. He's asking, does Elecon validate 8-week hold rule? Because it already gained 20% in 3 weeks. If you are in a normal general confirmed uptrend territory, then you should hold this stock for 8 weeks according to our power to pivot rule. However, we are in a rally attempt, so in such a case, when the Nifty is trading below its 50 and 200 DMS, then the volatility will be very high. And the stocks like this, like small cap stocks, the volatility will be very higher compared to Nifty index, because Nifty index is comprised of large cap stocks, and small cap stocks will have higher volatility when compared to large cap stocks. So if you are holding this stock with respect to the 8-week rule, then in these turbulent times, it's very difficult because if there is any small correction in the general market, these stocks will fall the most. how in that case you can keep any short-term moving average as a stop loss, any 21 DMA or 21 EMA according to your risk appetite.
So there is one question regarding the IT sector. How will the IT sector perform, or what's going on in IT sector? So I discussed briefly in, okay. So if you look at the Nifty IT index, so it has underperformed the most, I think, in the current fall. So generally इसके पहले के जो भी निफ्टी के फॉल्स थे उसमें आईटी का इतना पार्टिसिपेशन नहीं रहता था. It was very resilient, but now there is a deep correction in IT. See, if you look at the Nasdaq, so Nasdaq has been beaten down badly in USA, and a lot of technology companies are not confident, or not up to their growth mark. And the comments from the management also indicates that there might be some stress, in the growth rate that IT companies generally are able to maintain. So now if you typically look about the Indian IT companies, अपने यहाँ क्या होता है कि जो ग्लोबली मेजर बड़ी फर्म्स है उनका जो टेक्नोलॉजी बजट कितना होता है उसके ऊपर अपनी जो आईटी कंपनीज है उनका रेवेन्यू और अर्निंग काफी सारा डिपेंड रहता है. And see, now what happens in this scenario, that inflation is increasing, right? So they will try to cut some of the cost, and that's the reason जो उनका technology budget होगा that might also come down. Even a lot of consulting firms have come out that which they were estimating कि हाँ 5 से 6% का जो IT spending होता है वो that might drop to around 4%. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आईटी स्पेंड नहीं होगा, बट दैट देयर माइट बी सम नोटेबल ड्रॉप इन द आईटी स्पेंडिंग. सो इन्फ्लेशन की वजह से जब बड़ी कंपनीज विल ट्राई टू कट देयर कॉस्ट, so that will impact our IT companies a lot, because we are we are in the service part of the IT thing. And also there are other things that the margin might go lower because the wages are increasing, the attrition is still, though not like a few quarters back, but still a problem. So on one hand these companies are fighting to get their margins back, and on the other hand there are chances that the spending might slow down for next couple of quarter or maybe next 1 year. And that's the reason a lot of IT companies as well as the entire index is under pressure. So let it, if for the fresh entry it forms some good base, और यहाँ से एक बार earnings improve हो जाए, थोड़ा situation normalize हो जाए inflation का, and there are some positive management commentaries around the spending around the new order. So that is when you should try to enter the stock and not be very aggressive in the entering. There's a few more. There is question Asian Paint. So yeah, generally not a stock which gets beaten down, but yes, this time around there was a sharp fall in at this point of time for Asian Paint, and then again it tried to hold for some time, and again there was a fall in the stock. The mainly due to the higher cost. Abhi crude oil, the input cost, the major component is crude oil, and it is continuously rising, especially after the Russia-Ukraine issue that's going on. The crude oil prices are very high, and they are able to sustain about that 110-20 level पे काफी time से sustain हो गए. So that will add the pressure on the margins of Asian Paint. Demand scenario not that weak. The demand scenario is good for all these companies. So that was what I was similarly discussing for the autos companies as well. But जो उनका input cost है, so Asian Paint has taken multiple price hikes over the last few months, and I think the management told that they might be taking a few more. But then if the prices go much higher, then again that will be impacting the demand. So to balance out this scenario, I think the stock might need some time to repair the technical damage, or जब भी situation normalize होगी. So currently it is below 50 and 200 DMA. So generally not a good time to bottom fish in this market.
Rishit, I'll take a couple of questions now. Let's start. I'll start with Bajaj Finance. Okay. Bajaj Finance is a major NBFC company in India. It has been a very good multi-bagger for investors in the last 1 decade or so. Everyone knows about the story of Bajaj Finance. Has been multiple returns. If you look at on daily chart here, you see it has reached clearly all its key moving averages. That is 21, 50, and 200 DMS. That is the case with most of the stocks in this market. But few things to highlight here are EPS of 97. That is fundamentally it has reported very good set of numbers for the last 3 quarters. You can see the growth rate has given in a higher double-digit growth rate, both on the sales and EPS front. That is the reason EPS is at 97. But here you can see technicals have deteriorated very much. For RS is at 21. Buyer demand is at a D minus, which is very lower when compared to A plus or A rating. One key observation is that fundamentals do not change often, right? Company reports earnings only on quarter-on-quarter basis, only on quarterly basis. But these technicals will always lead the stock price. When the EPS is at 97, the stock price is going down. That is technicals have deteriorated. So it is very much important that you should club both the fundamentals and technicals. Otherwise, you will get a very wrong information about the stock. I'm not saying that the stock is a very bad company. It is a fundamentally very strong company, but the technicals have deteriorated because there is very much happening in the economy, both on macro and micro side. Talking about macro in the banking space or the financial space, RBI has increased repo rates price, right, 40 BPS and 50 BPS. That makes interest rates higher, right? So banks will get funds at a higher interest rate, and they'll also increase the loan interest rate. That is their lending interest rate. However, if the lending interest rate is increased, more companies or like individuals will not take loans. The demand for the loans will increase because of higher cost of funds. So that is the reason these stocks are coming under pressure. And talking about the present situation, as the stock is trading below its key moving averages, and there is no point in taking fresh entry at this point. However, if you are holding the stock, you can keep a recent low of 5,200 level as a stop loss, and if that level is reached, you can exit. Next, I'll take many questions actually. Apollo Hospital, I'll take. Apollo Hospital also similar, like EPS is at strong, like 80, but the technicals have deteriorated much. RS has deteriorated to 35, buyer demand to C plus. The stock has reached key moving averages, but it has a good support at its 21 DMA. And talking about fundamentals, the EPS has grown multifold in the recent quarters, but for the March quarter, sales have come down 41%. That is a laggard. Like the company has given a decreasing, that is the degrowth on the top line. Number of funds have increased 7%. It is a good sign. That is, fresh institutions are taking entry in this particular stock. And taking a fresh entry is not advised at this particular moment according to our only rules, because the stock has not given any proper buy points. Also, the general market is not conducive at this particular point. And I can keep its 21 DM as a stop loss, because that level has given good support in the last couple of sessions. So if that level is breached, I can exit if you have that stock in your portfolio.
Thanks, Raj. I will take a couple of queries. So there is a lot of questions related to BEL. So yes, this was our ex portfolio stock and quite a strong one. So currently it is consolidating. जैसे कि ये weak market में. So while I was discussing in starting, I was discussing about that 15% off high. So yes, you can track it over here. That this stock is just 12% off high. So this is the 52-week high, and it is just 12% off its high. So which is very good in these kind of market. So it is outperforming the major indices. So currently it is forming a third stage base, a little risky at this point of time. And it is trading well above its 200 DMA, the black line, but 50 DMA से और 21 से थोड़ा नीचे है. So give some time, let it break out technically for the fresh entry over here. Now, if you look at the fundamentals, see, overall it is good. इनका order book है, which is somewhere around 55 to 60,000 crore, which is very strong. Revenue growth, not a problem, but the problem again over here is the operating margin. So margin is के pressure में है because the input cost, the raw material cost has increased over the last few quarters. But I think if the commodity prices continues to stay a bit lower and the input cost reduces, then the operating profit margin will also improve for BEL. Now, secondly, after this, technical and this fundamental, if you broadly look at the theme, the entire play is very good. So, दो बात है. First thing is the government is focused on strengthening the defense. So, नए equipments, नए technologies defense में लानी है. Second thing, the government wants to be Atmanirbhar in that. So, Make in India program for the defense equipments. So, both the themes is working well for the BEL. So it is in a sweet spot if you consider that two themes, that we are in a process of strengthening our defense equipment inventory, and secondly the Make in India. So both the things are working well for this stock. So let the market turn into the rally. So give some time to the stock, let it consolidate and give a good breakout. So volume track करना important है. जब भी मार्केट ऊपर जाता है, दो चीज इसमें देखनी है. एक तो जब ये यहाँ से ऊपर जाएगा, ठीक है, जो पिवट के पास जो ये 10 to 12% का ये जो उसका पाथ है, वो जो भी कवर करेगा उसमें वॉल्यूम कैसा है, राइट? सो दैट विल बी इम्पोर्टेंट टू ट्रैक. इफ the volume strength is good in this part, then it becomes a very good candidate on a breakout. And one thing that I liked over here is कि यहाँ पे जब इतना steep fall आया, नीचे गया almost 15%, so volume was not above average. So यहाँ पे देखिए volume was generally below average. And बीच बीच में जब भी ये थोड़ा rally करने का try करता था, then volume used to spike up. So this is something positive. So ये market में सिर्फ प्राइस या सिर्फ वॉल्यूम नहीं, बट प्राइस वॉल्यूम एक्शन कोई भी मार्केट में देखना becomes very crucial, even at the index level, even at the stock level. So next is Ultratech. So it is continuously moving lower. The main problem over here also be margin is getting hit. Some good part over here is that they have announced a huge capex. अभी जून में ही उन लोगों ने कुछ 12-13,000 करोड़ का capex plan किया, and they are planning to add the capacity of around 22 to 23 MTPA by 2025, and they are already ongoing a capex of 16.3 MTPA. ठीक है, 16.3 का capex चल रहा है, and they have planned a 22.6 का more capex. और जो अभी वाला capex है, they are planning कि in the FY23 current year में ही that will be giving the output, and the next capex 2 साल में उसका जो रेवेन्यू उससे आना चालू हो जाएगा. So overall, this indicates that the demand scenario is good. There is no much issue with the demand. But one thing you should note is that the competition has intensified. जो cement industry है उसमें competition बढ़ गया है, especially the entrance of Adani in the group, as well as the many players are increasing the capacity. आप कोई भी cement company देख लीजिए, they are pushing up their capacities. मेजरली जो जो भी लार्ज प्लेयर्स है, दे आर इंक्रीजिंग देयर कैपेसिटीज, तो उसकी वजह से थोड़ा ऑपरेशनल जो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी है उस पर इम्पैक्ट आएगा. बट इफ द डिमांड इज गुड आफ्टर दिस हाई इन्फ्लेशन के प्रेशर के बाद, अगर डिमांड इंप्रूव हो जाता है, क्रूड ऑयल नीचे जाता है, क्योंकि लॉजिस्टिक और पावर ये उनका एक मेजर कंपोनेंट है उनके इनपुट कॉस्ट का. अगर ये यहाँ से नीचे जाएगा तो मार्जिन्स डेफिनेटली सारे सीमेंट कंपनीज के इम्प्रूव हो गए, एंड देन दे विल द स्टॉक प्राइस विल शो सम रिएक्शन पॉजिटिवली. बट करंटली इट इज very damaged technically, 22% below 200 and 10 to 11% below 50 DMA. So not a good idea to bottom fish in this market. Let it establish the base, और वहां से थोड़ा अगर 5200 DMA reclaim करता है, and there are some signs of lower fuel and logistic cost and their margins getting improved, और एक आध अच्छा रिजल्ट आता है एक आध क्वार्टर का, and then you should try to move towards these stocks, especially this one.
Hey, just two three pointers on the cement sector, as Rushit was mentioning. One, I think the overall capacity is around 550 million. Demand stands at 350. So the utilization level has been languishing in that 66-68% kind of a range. For them to actually make an operating leverage, it should go beyond 75. So one aspect that Rushit spoke, demand, infrastructure spending, capex, that should remain strong. Second, Ultratech is expanding its capacity of almost 22 million ton at a cost of less than 75 or $80 per ton, and Adani has actually bought out the whole cap assets for 175 at a premium to the replacement cost. So what is probably happening is, when you're probably expanding, it can get expanded at a lower level, but when higher multiples are assigned, you should probably take into consideration how is the EBITDA per ton matrix moving, which is not moving at all. If you frankly look at the last 7 to 10 year rolling average, if you just roll backward, around 1100-1200 rupees per ton is the average that you probably see in terms of EBITDA per ton. Now, at the acquisition of what Adani has done, if you really make supernormal profit, the EBITDA per ton has to double, which is impossible in this scenario. So I think एक हो सकता है trade, but I think the correction that has probably happened is more in terms of more supply coming in at a lower cost, and the dynamics not improving that significantly for the sector. So I think that those were my 2 bits of the space.
Thanks, Nishit and Nagesh. I'll take this now. Vishal is commenting on today's action, like how the Nifty is moved today, and is the market confused? Today being in weekly expiry, it's more of a options play rather than cash play today. Considering today's action, only if you are taking today's action, then it's definitely, it can be attributed to options play. However, if you are looking for the last couple of weeks sessions or more than that, then the market is there is no clear trend in the market. That is for sure, because Nifty has reached its key levels, and we have been in a downtrend for the last 1 month. And there have been very macro news coming from globally, like starting from geopolitical tensions and inflation, rate hikes by the central banks, like starting from the USA, India, Europe. Everywhere we have seen the same theme. So there is no structured momentum in the market, that there is no clear uptrend or downtrend. For the last 1 week, Nifty is trying to make a bottom, and that's the reason we have moved to rally attempt from there. And talking about only today's action, we can say it's more of options play than cash play. So definitely we can say slightly there is no clear direction in the market. That is what we can say looking at the current market. And
technically, Vishal, sorry, Rachikal, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, you can manage. You can chip in.
No. So to answer Vishal's question, I think it was for traders. I think I've been reading a lot of tweets. I think it was a horrible day for traders because it suddenly cracked and then it again went up all the way. So I think in technical terms, if I'm not mistaken, this is called as a spinning top. It shows indecisiveness. वो मार्केट ना ऊपर जा रहा है ना नीचे आ रहा है पता नहीं चल रहा है कहाँ चल रहा है and even if you look at the option built up activity I think it largely looks like it should settle down in a very very broad range 15,000 15,200 on the downside to almost 15,800 15,900 on the top end of the range unless something worsens off on the global scenario in terms of data points that they come up so yeah the market is clearly confused it is indecisive there is a spinning top which has been created on the Nifty.
Yeah. Thanks, Marish. Sridhar has been posting a query on FTD. That is, we consider if follow today happens in the 4 to 7 days in the rally attempt, then it is considered strong. Why? Because our founder William O'Neill has studied the stock markets for the last 50 or more years, and he has found out common characteristics how the market moves, how the beginners move. So just beginning of a big move, a follow through day has to happen. That is one common characteristic he has observed. And if you are talking about stocks, again, it is slightly similar. Like if you are saying a breakout on above average volume, the definition is like it is similar, right? Here we are looking at the Nifty advancing 1.5% or more on volume higher than the previous session. Breakout also it's very similar. We are looking for a strong action on price front, on volume front as well. So it's very similar if you're comparing the stocks and index. Like before the big move, any stock to happen, it has to give a strong breakout. Similarly, on the index front as well, if you are the what to say rally is about to start, then follow through day is the beginning step for the rally to start. Why the 4 to 7 days is considered is strong is because mostly I think it is a data driven, historical data driven aspect, and that I think the I don't know exactly, but let's say the market is coming out during the rally attempt phase, right? And if that within 1 week, if the market gives a follow through day, then that means market has really bottomed out at that particular point. However, if the follow through day happens on the second week or the third week, we are not sure that that bottom out which happened previously is the real bottom for the market. I hope I have answered your query.
I think we can go to next question. So let me take Tata Consumer and then Raj can take a couple. So if you look over here at Tata Consumer, it is a bit under pressure. It is trading below its 50 and 200-day moving averages, and there has not been a major price volume action over the last few days. So it is having a very strong support zone around this current level. So if you can see from here, yes, from the last December itself, it found support near 696, then 675, then 650. Again over here, so last month it found support near 698. So a 670 to 700 wala phase hai. So that is the support zone, and the stock is very close to that zone. So and the down volume are not that high, so no major downside you can expect over here. It is forming a stage 3 consolidation base, so might it get support near this level. And on the higher side, clearly here the 50 DM around 760, 200 around 770. So once it is out of that zone, it might continue the further uptrend. So now I think we have less time, so we will quickly go through a few of the queries so that we can cover the maximum.
Okay, I'll take Steel Authority of India. Has been asked a couple of times. If you see the stock technical front has been deteriorating. It has reached all its key moving averages. One key aspect to it is that there is a macro thing which happened recently. That is, government has imposed 15% export duty on the steel or iron ore finished products last month. So exports will take a hit because of this move, because of export duty which was imposed by the government. And previously, steel exports were very high because Russia being a major exporter, there have been major sanctions by European nations on the Russia. So they have chosen India as a second choice for importing steel. But now the imposition of export duty will hamper steel exports. So that is the reason majorly stocks like these are falling pretty much on a higher volume as well. And next, I'll take Manappuram Finance. Technically, it's a very similar story. Like stock has been falling and it has making new lows continuously. It has clearly trading below its key moving averages. EPS has also deteriorated to 59. Talking about the technicals, I can see there are very lowest ratings like RS rating of 4, buyer demand of E. These are very lowest in their categories. Number of funds have also declined significantly, 17-16%, indicating institutions exiting the stock. So that is a bad sign. And yeah, talking about the company, they have been not able to generate new loans because of rise in repo rates. The whole business has been impacted. Like demand for the loans has come down, and taking fresh entry is not advised clearly because of its underperformance compared to the general market. Rishit, can you take
Yes,
one
yes.
or two queries?
Sridhar has a comment. Is there any historical reference to compare with US market failed to hold follow through day 4 times consecutively in the same year? So yeah, it has happened. So I think Mayuresh had commented that generally during the these kind of markets, average of I think more than 5 failure has been a trend somewhere around. Not sure with the number, but I will confirm it. 5 to 6 failed follow through days before the bear market. So these are some of the numbers, but I'll get the exact number to you. But yes, so what's important of follow through day failure in US और उसका connection Indian market से, that is that the market का strength उतना नहीं है. Whenever it is trying to show some strength, it is failing back. So Salom rise वाली चीज चल रही है अगर layman indication आप गिनो तो. So that is what this indicates the failures of the follow through day.
No, there have been earlier references, Sridhar, as Rushit mentioned. I think I clearly remember 80s 80s में जो हुआ था, I think there were some falls. I mean, follow through days did not come through, but yeah, I think we'll come back on this. But there have been historical references, surely.
Okay. So there, Mohammed, there's one question. May I know how you decide on consolidations, whether it's a stage 2 or 3? Raj, can you paste that stage link over here, that how we decide the stages? So I think that
Okay.
will give you a better indication. So we have our learning article on the base stages. Maybe that will give you a clear idea if once you go through that. Let's take few questions on stock.
But guys, the best part about the product is that there is obviously I think Raj will post the articles and paste that link. But the pattern recognition is there, right? So the product is absolutely complete in every sense that you've got: financials, fundamentals, entry point, pattern recognition. In fact, you can show a pattern recognition to.
Yes. So see, this is how all the fundamentals. So not only last few years, but the detailed fundamentals. It's available in the financial summary over here. So all the statement and its analysis, the peer comparison, everything is over here. And so pattern, easily just click over here. So if you can observe these lines, this dotted line over here, so that is the base patterns that, and our algo detects it automatically. So you don't need to identify those patterns, or I have not done this, but this is automated. Just click over here and you will get all the information, like it's a consolidation based stage 2. So what is the length, what is the depth, and what are the other key parameters over here. So not only this one, but any base pattern that is getting from, let's say if you click over here, so in October, NTPC had formed a cup with a handle base. So you will get an idea that okay, the pivot was at 107, so it was a stage 1 base. So जो भी first base होता है वो stage 1 है, and you will get to know in that article. So after stage 1 के breakout के बाद अगर stock 20% का move देता है and it forms a second stage, then it's a stage 2. बट यहाँ पे क्या हुआ कि ब्रेकआउट दिया समवेयर इन February 21, और फिर वहां से 5-10% के गेन के बाद फिर से स्टॉक नया बेस बनाने लगा, दैट इज कप बेस. यू कैन सी ओवर हियर, जैसे कि यहाँ पे ऑटोमेटिक आइडेंटिफाई हो गया है कि कप बेस बना है, दिस इज कप विथ हैंडल. सो इन सच अ केस, जब गेन 20% से कम हो ब्रेकआउट के बाद, then we do not go up numerically, but we go up alphabetically, A, B, C. So that is why this base is 1B base, जो ये कप वाला है, right, and this is 1C. एंड देन सी, अगर ये 1C से जब फ्लैट बेस से ब्रेकआउट हुआ था और उसके बाद 20% से ज्यादा गेन हुआ, तो उसके बाद अभी का जो रिसेंट बेस था वो है स्टेज 2 कंसोलिडेशन बेस. एंड रीसेट तब होता है, अभी ये क्वेश्चन भी होगा कि 1 कब होगा फिर से, तो इसका लो है 119.10. ये बेस का अगर ये ब्रीच हो जाता है, देन व्हेन न्यू बेस फॉर्म्स, तो उसको 1 से हम काउंट करेंगे, प्रीवियस बेस का लो ब्रीच नहीं होना चाहिए. So yeah, I was discussing about the NTPC. So technically it was holding well till last month, but recently it has breached its 50 DMA. It is holding around its 200 DMA. जो recent के अभी 2 दिन का fall है, volume इतना नहीं है. Ideally it's just 50% of the volume, if you can look over here. So it has for multiple times it has found the support at 200 DMA यहाँ पे, and this is the third time we are seeing this in last 4 to 5 months. So let's see if 200 DMA, this black line, that is the 200 DMA, can again give a support to this stock. So if you are holding this stock, then the current level becomes very crucial. यहाँ से अगर volume से गिरता है, then ideally it's not a best idea to hold. On the flip side, if it rebounds from here, then that's a positive indication. And the fresh entry के लिए you should wait for some 50 DMA और ये pivot level है उसके reclaim करने के लिए. And also yes, market is the most important thing. It should move higher. So let's take 2-3 more queries, and then we can conclude the session. So yes, ONGC. So there has been sharp fall over here. So the stock made a high of around 190.95 in the March, after the crude oil prices were very high. So I think फेब एंड में जो ये वॉर, जो रशिया यूक्रेन का क्राइसिस इश्यू चालू हुआ, उसके बाद बहुत बड़े थे क्रूड ऑयल के प्राइस, एंड दैट्स द रीजन द ओएनजीसी वाज मूविंग हायर. बट सिंस देन इट इज नॉट एबल टू सस्टेन द गेन्स, राइट, बिकॉज डिमांड इज नॉट दैट ग्रेट, एंड जो उनका मार्जिन्स मिलना चाहिए दैट इज नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड, एंड दैट्स द रीजन देयर हैज बीन अ शार्प फॉल ओवर हियर, and currently it is trading below all its key moving averages. So not a good idea to chase the or catch the falling knife. So wait for some technical improvements over here. Okay, SBI Card. Yes, this has been falling continuously. So यहाँ पे कुछ अक्टूबर में जब मार्केट का हाई बना था जो 18600 वाला, वहां पे इसका हाई बन गया था. उसके बाद इट इज कंटिन्यूसली ट्रेडिंग बिलो इट्स 50 एंड 200 DMA. सो इन बिटवीन फॉर some time it found support, it moved above its 50 DMA और वहां पे support लेने का try किया, but again it breached, and now again clearly it is getting resistance at 50 DMA. अगर ये 797 वाला भी recent last month का देखिए, तो ये 50 DMA से resistance लेके sharp fall हुआ था यहाँ पे. So not a good idea to enter the stock as of now. Wait for the technical as well as the fundamental scenario to improve over here. A few more questions. So KPIT Technology, yeah, it's a quality stock. The business outlook is very good. But currently, it is facing resistance near its 50 DMA. वहां से ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है. Since last 2-3 session, it is trying to hold near its 200 DMA, but फिर भी 200 DMA के नीचे ही है आज भी closing. So let it move above its key moving averages, and then you can consider. The good part, what I like about this is कि जो उसका previous base है, जो उसने नवंबर में breakout दिया था, so उस वहां के जो pivot है वहां तक अभी ये नहीं आया. So that is positive thing about this stock. So whenever it reclaims 50 DMA on a very high volume, then it gives you a alternate buy point. But again, clarifying multiple times that market should be in a confirmed uptrend. Okay, JK paper, maybe last stock, and then we can conclude the session. Yes, again, it is trading below its 50 DMA, but it is trying to find support near the 200-day moving averages. The volume activity has been low, so let's see if it can forms a base around this level, and then we can when the market is turning higher and if it reclaims its 50-day moving averages and some a couple of quarter of result with good commentary comes out, then one can have a look at this stock. So I think we tried to answer as many as query as possible, but if we have missed or due to the time we are not able to get to your queries, then you can always write us on our email ID, and we will try to answer as quickly as possible your queries. So I hope this session was useful to you. The opening remarks, the remarks by Mayuresh, and the explanation by Rajshekar during the stocks that helped you in understanding the market, understanding the stock, and some of the points around the O'Neill methodology also. So
Yeah, Sridhar, we'll post the report. I think it should come in some time.
yes,
Should
yes,
definitely
yes.
come.
So thanks a lot, guys, for joining the session.
Thanks, Rushit. Thanks, Rajshekar. Thanks, folks, for attending. Take care. Bye.
So the recording, I think we are live on YouTube. Rucha, we were live on YouTube, right? So maybe you can go to YouTube and check it out.